Good evening and welcome to Prime Edition. Kenya's medal count continues to improve. Of course, it is after Faith Cherotich won a gold medal. We'll be telling you in what race. And indeed, our focus tonight is on the education sector. There's so much happening in the country regarding the Dawn strike and so much more. Most importantly, in our conversation on Prime Edition, we are focusing on the meeting that President William Ruto had with a delegation of 10,000 teachers drawn from NAT, Kupet and Kusnet, and we'll be just looking at what the deal really is, and that will be the focus of our conversation tonight. First things first, here are tonight's highlights.
World Championship steeplechase in Budapest is going to be the winner here in Tokyo. She's run away with it.
A leap of faith. Faith Cherotich wins Kenya the fourth gold at World Athletics Championship in Japan, breaking the 3,000 meters steeplechase championship record. Paralysis sets in. Public universities in disarray after lecturers and other staff members begin nationwide strike. And unite and shun divisive politics, President Ruto tells politicians during his tour of the coast. Susan Thuku is a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. And of course, in our conversation, like I told you, our focus is on education matters. And you're talking about that meeting with the president and a delegation of 10,000 teachers. We'll be talking to James Torome, who is the Secretary General of KUSNET, that is the Kenya Union of Teachers, of course, the Union of Special Needs Teachers, and we'll be talking to him regarding what the deal really was. But first things first, Olympic and world bronze medalist Faith Cherotich is now a world champion in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, having won the title at the ongoing World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan. Cherotich adds the gold medal to the bronze she won in Budapest in 2023 and the Diamond League trophy she won in the concluded season.
Faith Cherotich won Kenya a fourth gold medal at the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo, Japan, winning in a championship record of 8 minutes 51.59 seconds, beating defending champion Winfred Yavi of Bahrain by 5 seconds. Ethiopian Sembo Almayu had to settle for the bronze medal, 2 seconds behind Yavi. The other Kenyan in the race, Doris Lemgole, finished a distant fifth.
World Championship steeplechase in Budapest is going to be the winner here in Tokyo. She's run away with it. 8:51, phenomenal from Faith Cherotich. Faith Cherotich, that was paid move from Winfred Yavi, coming over the barrier and maybe got it slightly wrong. There was a bad hurdle down the back straight for Yavi. An average water jump. In the end, that gave the youngster, Faith Cherotich, the advantage and the world title.
Reynold Cheriot added a second bronze medal to Kenya's medal collection at the global event after finishing third in the final of the 1500 meters. Cheriot took the bronze in 3 minutes 34.25 seconds, missing out on the gold medal by just 0.15 seconds. He finished behind silver medalist Jack Whitman of Great Britain and gold medalist Isaac Nader of Portugal.
Cheriot on the inside, and Nader coming wide for Portugal. Nader for Portugal from Whiteman on the line. What a run, what a finish. Nader can't believe it, neither can Whiteman, but Nader pipped Jake Whiteman on the line by an absolute whisker.
Team captain Julius Yego qualified to the final of the men's javelin throw to be held tomorrow, surpassing the qualifying mark with a throw of 85.96 meters. Wiseman Were finished 6th in semi-final 2 of the men's 400-meter hurdles to miss out on a place in the final. After the first 5 days of the championship, Kenya has a total of 7 medals, 4 gold won by Beatrice Chebet, Faith Cherotich, Peras Jepchirchir and Faith Kipyegon, 1 silver won by Dorcas Ewoi, and 2 bronze medals won by Reynold Cheriot and Edmund Serem.
Ethiopia takes second with Tiggs Sefa.
Of course, the 4 gold medals now places just a little bit behind the United States of America that has 7 gold medals so far. And now the ongoing verification of schools has so far revealed over 50,000 ghost students in secondary schools. As Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok told the National Assembly, the Education Committee, that at least 17,000 schools have so far been verified, with malpractice being more evident in secondary schools. And as Gishuki Washira reports, the government now attributes the delay in disbursing school capitation to the verification process.
The National Assembly Education Committee invited the Education Ministry to brief on the ongoing verification process of schools and students aimed at dealing with loopholes through which capitation is being lost. Basic Education Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok revealed out of 32,000 schools that have submitted their data, 17,000 have already been verified, and at least 50,000 students in secondary schools were non-existent, despite their capitation being previously channeled to schools.
Just to use the example of secondary, we have found that more than 50,000 students so far were not there before. So about 50,000 so far, and we're in the middle of the process, almost 50,000. So you can be sure we shall unearth many other things.
While MPs questioned what action was being taken on education officers who allowed the malpractice to occur, the PS said disciplinary process will commence after the verification.
We are getting data from names. We get data from the heads of institutions. We get data from our sub-county directors, and then we compare them. And you can actually tell if there's a variance. And that is what is giving us now close to 50,000 difference so far in secondary.
Even the officers in the headquarters here, who have been capitating wrong schools all those years, we really need to take action on them.
The verification process of students and schools, as recommended by the Auditor General, has slowed down the disbursement of capitation to schools. PS Bitok says out of 23 billion shillings allocated to the State Department, 13 billion shillings has been wired to different schools and Examination Council.
We are picking the data in IEBC. We get the data from the schools digitally, and we get the data from sub-county directors of education. We compare the three. Once the three agree and reconcile, then we are able now to send capitation. That's why capitation is moving slightly slowly, because we want to get it right. We want to get the accurate number of students. We want to make confirmations before we send the money to our schools.
The Ministry of Education has now embarked on changing the Education Information Management System to enhance data safety and eliminate non-existent schools and students. The transition is projected to be completed by January next year. Gishuk Washira, Prime Edition.
We are still on education matters, and learning in public universities has been thrown into disarray after lecturers and staff made good their threats and downed their tools. The university workers took to the streets demanding the release of 2.73 billion shillings under the second phase of the 2021-2025 Collective Bargaining Agreement CBA and 7.9 billion shillings from the 2017 to 2021 CBA. They're accusing the government of making empty promises despite the release of 2.5 billion shillings, insisting they will only resume work once their arrears are paid in full.
Learning in public universities has ground to a halt as teaching and unteaching staff went on strike. The staff under the university's academic staff union, Kenya University Staff Union, and the Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions, Hospitals and Allied Workers took to the streets, waving placards and chanting slogans demanding payment. At the Technical University of Mombasa, union leaders accused the government of ignoring workers' pleas despite months of patience and dialogue.
According to the failure by the government to honor our agreements we had with them last year and the powers bestowed upon us as secretaries, today we have launched the two-chapter strike.
In Kirinyaga University, the same script played out as the staff staged peaceful protest along the Kutus-Kerugoya Highway, with union officials calling for the start of negotiations for the 2025-2029 CBA.
We have the CBA of 2017-2021. This government implemented it in bits. They were to do the second phase in July this year. That is 2 months ago, but they have not done so.
At Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology in Kakamega County, the lecture halls remained empty as the staff joined their colleagues on the streets.
Nimeona waziri wa elimu ameandika barua ya kusema kwamba pesa ya kumaliza huu mgomo imetoka. Ningependa kusisitiza kwamba sisi hatutarudi kazini mpaka hiyo pesa tuone imeingia kwapi kwa mfuko.
In Pwani University, Kilifi, the lecturers dismissed Treasury's announcement of a 2.5 billion shillings allocation, saying the money remains only on paper, insisting years of unkept promises have forced them to boycott work.
It is not our wish, but we are forced by circumstances. So we appeal to our students to be patient as their lecturers push for what is rightfully theirs.
Similar scenes were witnessed across public universities, with employees demanding full payment of their dues. The nationwide strike comes even after Treasury released 2.5 billion shillings to clear part of the arrears, a gesture unions dismiss as inadequate compared to what is owed. Doreen Arange for Prime Edition.
Away from education matters now, and President William Ruto has exuded confidence in his leadership and called on Kenyans to unite and shun those who are out to spread divisive politics. The president said that his government, through various development projects and policies, remains focused on transforming the country's fortunes and putting Kenya on the global map.
Day 2 of his visit in the port city. President William Ruto commissioned the 14-kilometer meter gauge railway from Mombasa's central business district to Miritini. The president reminded Kenyans that his government has continued to work round the clock to change the country's fortunes, citing the formation of the broad-based government as an indication of his commitment to unite Kenyans.
Ndio tumeunganisha tukawa na serikali ya broad-based ambayo inawajumuisha Wakenya wote. Kwa sababu ya muhimu, sio mashindano ya kisiasa, sio malumbano ya kisiasa, sio mambo ya mirengo. Ya muhimu ni vile tutabadilisha Kenya, tuondoe umaskini, tuzalishe chakula ya kutosha, tufukuze njaa, tuzalishe nafasi za ajira wa vijana wetu wa Kenya, tuzalishe uchumi, Kenya tuondoe umaskini, tuwe na utajiri, Kenya iweze kusonga mbele.
We are grateful for helping Kenya to be a united country under God, one nation, one people.
He reiterated that his government has continued to commit resources in different projects across the country, and he is confident that the gradual transformation will place Kenya on the global map.
And I want to say, when I am in this beautiful old city of Mombasa, that as citizens of this country, we must believe in ourselves. We must believe in our country. We must believe in our ability. And it is possible for us to move Kenya from where it is, working together, eliminating tribalism, removing division, making sure that we are united. We can lift our country from being a third world country to a first world country in our generation.
He called on Kenyans to remain focused and shun the naysayers who have no development ambitions for the country.
And that is why I want to say, without fear of any contradiction, that Kenya is going to succeed. And we are going to shame the enemies of our nation, because together we are going to stand united.
The president later issued 800 title deeds to Changamwe residents and promised to end the land issues experienced at the coast region.
Nimepeleka mambo ya budget kule bunge na wamepitisha shilingi bilioni 3.8 3.8 billion ya mambo ya kutoa hati miliki, kulipa absentee landlords, ndio tuweze kubadilisha watu wa pwani kutoka uskota wawe ndio wenyeji.
He finally concluded his day in Nyali constituency, where he checked on the progress of the ongoing affordable housing project. For Prime Edition from Mombasa County, I am Ann Buru.
And now the cordial relations between Kenya and Britain will ease the implementation of a High Court's warrant of arrest for a British soldier murder suspect. That is according to Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who however said that the matter squarely lies with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Defence to work with Britain to ensure the said soldier is extradited to Kenya to face justice for the alleged murder of Agnes Wanjiru in 2012 in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. As Giverson Minor now reports.
The 41st edition of the Jukwaa la Usalama County Security Tour on Wednesday pitched a tent in Siaya County. Responding to questions from members of the press, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen weighed in on the warrant issued by High Court Judge Alexander Muteti for arrest of a British national and soldier on suspicion of the murder of Agnes Wanjiru 13 years ago.
The procedures in court happen through the Attorney General's office and the DPP's office, and of course, as investigators, the Ministry of Interior has done its part.
The CS said Musalia Mudavadi-led Foreign Affairs docket and Defence led by Soipan Tuya will work with the United Kingdom to extradite the British national to stand trial in the Kenyan courts.
When you are dealing with matters of extradition, it's a both diplomatic issue but also a defense issue in this situation. I would rather leave that to Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the diplomatic channels within the defense to see how best that can be handled, because we have a good working relationship between the two countries, and I don't think there is we will struggle to find the right cooperation.
The remains of the 21-year-old were discovered in a septic tank in a hotel near British Army Training Barracks in Nanyuki, Laikipia County. At the same time, Murkomen warned against hiring goons and gangs by political rivals in Siaya and the Nyanza region at large.
This is an area that we must deal with decisively. The few elements also within the border sector who are also involving themselves in criminal activities can be dealt with when we properly regulate, and particularly self-regulated cooperatives and circles of the border sector.
He also assured fishermen operating Lake Victoria of their safety.
We recognize that although we have the presence of Coast Guard, we need to enhance their numbers and to enhance the equipment so that they can have enough boats. We are also planning to build a base for the Coast Guard in Usenge so that it can help in these operations.
Cases of defilement are also said to be on the rise in Siaya. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition, in Siaya County.
In a 10-year project that targets restoring the degraded Mau Forest natural ecosystems has been launched in Nairobi. The first phase of the restoration project, spearheaded by the Environment Principal Secretary Festus Ngeno, targets to rehabilitate over 3,000 hectares in the forest. The project will incorporate the provision of alternative energy sources for the surrounding communities, the adoption of sustainable agroforestry, the circular economy, and planting trees in degraded areas. Opicho Chemtai has details.
As part of the government's ambitious plan of planting 15 billion trees by 2032, the leadership of the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change on Tuesday rolled out Mau Forest Complex Integrated Conservation Project dubbed Linda Mau Boresha Maisha.
It is not a fragmented event, but different events intertwined to build up a bigger and better ecosystem.
Environment and Climate Change Principal Secretary Dr. Festus Ngeno says the project seeks to address the threats currently facing the Mau forest, including illegal logging and human encroachment.
If left unchecked, these pressures will undermine our water security, food production, biodiversity, and the resilience of our local communities.
You have seen the damage it has caused. The nature will never forgive us. We have to wake up. We have to volunteer. We have to provide the little we have.
If you can support us as correctional services to have those items, I assure you, we will be able, PS, to support you in generation of at least giving you 1 million seedlings per annum.
To sustain the initiative, Ngeno says they will prioritize resource mobilization and stakeholder engagement strategy.
It is a game-changing legacy initiative and a model for the rest of the country that integration of forest restoration and livelihood improvement can be done.
And also the integrated nature of the initiative, where there are different components on energy, on water, on agriculture, on restoration. All this really, it's towards really a success.
One of the key areas that we can support is bringing in our technical expertise with regards to policy development and management plans that can support the communities to be able to implement that particular project.
In support of the ambitious project, Environment Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa pledged to push for a national and local technical coordination committee.
The hands of our community, innovations from the private sector, investments in the private sector, resources from our development partners, the passion and hope of the women and the youth of Kenya and beyond.
Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Time for us now to take our first breather right here on Prime Edition. When we come back, we'll be engaging James Torome, who is the Secretary General of KUSNET, that is the Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers. Don't go too far. We'll be looking at that State House deal shortly.
Vibrant streets of Nairobi to the historic heart of Mombasa, from the rising voices in Eldoret to the bold ideas shaping Kakamega, a conversation is growing across generations, across towns, and across Kenya.
The young Kenyans want to be heard.
I believe it's trust that's broken, fundamentally.
Move from, yes, we heard you, this is what we have done, and this is the evidence.
Now, it all comes together in the lakeside city of Kisumu. Join the conversation live from Mama Grace Social Hall, Kisumu Town, this Thursday, 18th day of September 2025 from 7:30 p.m., where youth will meet elders, ideas connect, and change begins. Only on KBC Channel 1, in conjunction with NCIC, Korea International Cooperation Agency, and UNDP.
Jeshi la Ulinzi la Kenya KDF linawatangazia zoezi la usajili wa Kenya ambao wangependa kujiunga nao kama wanajeshi. Zoezi hili litafanyika mwezi Oktoba mwaka huu. Usajili ambao utafanyika ni wa General Service Officers GSO, Cadets Regular and Graduates, Specialist Officers, General Duty Recruits, Tradesmen and Women na Defense Forces Constables. Je, una ndoto za kutumikia taifa la Kenya kama mwanajeshi? Kwa maelezo zaidi, tegea KBC Radio Taifa tarehe 20 mwezi huu wa Septemba, punde tu baada ya taarifa ya habari ya saa 1 usiku. Kadhalika, kwa maelezo zaidi ya wale ambao wangependa kujiunga na jeshi la Kenya, tembelea tovuti ya www.mod.go.ke. Kumbuka, tendo la hongo na ufisadi wa aina yoyote ni kinyume cha sheria na hakuna anayeweza kushawishi usajili wako, kwani zoezi hili ni la bila malipo wale wote ambao wangependa kujiunga na jeshi la Kenya. Ukikubali kuadaiwa, utapoteza pesa na mali yako na kuishia korokoroni.
Sitatoroka tena.
Tutaenda hivyo nayo.
Kioko has you and Alex exactly where he wants you. Kama ni mbaya, wacha ikuwe mbaya. Maxine, uko poa?
Tumefungiwa nyumba, that's what it is.
Endo waambie ni mwape siku mbili watoke huko.
Keys to the new locks. I should have let Alex throw your dad under the bus. Mzee wako wako wapi?
Kamresh. Idea ilikuwa ya Jane.
She could be the key of maybe even keeping your dad from going to jail. Trish yuko wapi?
If you want my full cooperation, I need to have that immunity document signed and brought here.
Nawe mzee? Hiyo deal ya Mama Jabali bado iko.
Yaani mzee kama Jemedai na hizo miaka zote zake, mtaka kumweka ndani?
I'm his lawyer.
Karibu. Ingia. Okay.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. Just a few days ago at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto hosted a 10,000 delegation of teachers, 10,000-man delegation of teachers who joined him in a forum called Walimu na Rais. Among the attendees was James Torome, who is the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers. Alongside KUPPET and NAT, members of these unions were in that forum. And of course, you've seen what has been canvassed in papers, but we'll just try to give details, obviously, from an attendee. And here comes James Torome. Karibu sana, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm quite fine. And I say thanks for the invite to KBC.
Yes, you're very much welcome. Let's begin with, particularly from the sector that you represent, in the education sector, and particularly the special needs education teachers. In the meeting you had at State House, and of course it lasted for hours, did you feel that the concerns of this subsector was well represented or well anchored in that meeting?
Okay, thank you very much. As we arrived there at around 11:30, and we left there at around 4:30, at least the sector that is the special needs, at least we went home with something. Because getting one job group, that is a lifeline. Until you die, the house allowance will go up. Those who are in hardship areas, it will go up. Commuter allowance will also go up. So it's a big, big, big win, especially for special needs education teachers. 2, for teachers living with a disability, the guidance allowance, which they have been receiving 20,000, the president appreciated that they are going to relook on it. He commissioned the Minister of Education, the Teacher Service Commission, to give him the financial implication so that that adjustment can be done. So it's again another gain in the field of special education.
Quite interesting, because most of the times, and when you have had complaints, particularly from KUSNET or even special schools or special teachers, that is teachers living with disabilities, there's always a complaint of being left out, particularly on issues of policy. Now, by the time you were coming out of that meeting, because there are many pledges made in terms of promotions and in terms of even benefiting from housing, the question is, did you feel there was inclusion this time? Because this is a policy directive. Did you feel there was inclusion this time?
I think from where I sit, there is inclusion. Because even that guidance allowance, it have never been reviewed. The person living with a disability, excluding teacher, all the other civil servants in this country, they have to keep on reviewing the certificate for them to be exempted from paying tax after every 3 years. And that issue, we raised it, and we are still going to follow about it. The guidance allowance, this one is given to persons living with a disability. So we see this time they were included.
Tell us about, because we saw remarks made, of course, by Nat, that is Secretary General, or you. We also saw Akelo Misori also making his submissions before that meeting. Relatively, KUSNET is, you would say, a younger union compared to these two, and probably even in terms of membership is a little bit smaller. How much voice did you get in that meeting as KUSNET?
Can you come clear?
Because Nat and KUPPET are slightly older than you are, right?
Yep.
In terms of membership, they're bigger than you are.
Yep.
You would obviously presume that they got a bigger platform in terms of allocation of time to prosecute their issues.
You see, Mr. Kioria, the number is not a concern.
Okay.
What is concern is the issue affecting your members, even if it is one member. And you forward that concern, and it is taken. That is a tick to the union. The issue of number does not arise. Because in that forum, KUSNET, we were given 400 teachers to attend.
Okay.
The other organization, they were given different number. But out of the 400 teachers who are representing other teachers who never attended that meeting, they went home smiling with something in their pocket.
There's something important you mentioned about job groups, and it appeared like it's a very important thing to KUSNET. Tell us, how long have your members particularly stayed without, these promotions to new job groups?
You see, Mr. Kioria, there is a career progression of 2018 where SNE teachers were supposed to move to job groups. And since 2018 to date, that policy have never been implemented. We have been pushing the employer, but it has been a game of here and there. Until now, we had to raise it in that platform of the president who gave that directive. So for us now, we have no issue. What we are trying now to follow, when the president pronounced himself that the second job group is going to be relooked on. So wherever the president is, we are asking him, rethink about the second job group because of the job and the kind of the workload the SNE teachers are performing in this country.
Tell us how many members, particularly from KUSNET, are likely to benefit from these announced promotions. Largely because you'll find that, for example, when some of these declarations have been made, then the regulator or even the employer, particularly, for example, the TSC, will come back and say, this directive extended to this group of teachers and not to the rest. So how many members, particularly in KUSNET, are likely to benefit from this declaration?
Okay, what we can say,
yes,
that announcement by the president across the board, 14,000 teachers who are in the TSC payroll and are teaching in special schools and units in this country are going to benefit from that.
13,000.
14,000.
14,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Regardless now of which union you are affiliated to.
All right. Other than, the aspect of special needs teachers, special needs teachers sometimes teach in special needs institutions, or you have special needs institutions that are under your members. Were there any specific commitments from the president or the employer, the Teacher Service Commission, regarding institutions that are dealing with special needs?
The commitment which was given by the president, that was across the board, that the career progression should be reviewed, which have never been reviewed.
Yes.
The CBA, which we signed the other day, the time have now been reduced to 2. So we are saying already they have been paid the first phase. The second phase, the third phase, and the fourth phase are going to be combined. That is across the board of the all teaching fraternity.
You're simply telling us that the meeting really focused more on the teacher welfare as opposed to an institution, for example?
Yes.
So you did not discuss special needs education institutions?
At that forum, because we had a prior meeting between the 5 organizations, that is NAT, KUPET, KUSNET, KESHA, and KESHA and what do we call it?
The one for primary schools?
For the primary school and for the secondary
school, yes.
Then out of the 10 points agenda, the associations were given that responsibility to talk about the capitation, infrastructure, and all other things. So in that forum where we were with the president, we could not bring those issues because already they were assigned to other organizations.
There's a very important announcement about, fast-tracking the processing of retirement benefits for teachers once they retire. And we have seen, for example, the kind of pain teachers living with disabilities go through as they try to fast track and the payment of this retirement benefits. That announcement, tell us about the impact it had, particularly that announcement by the president on teachers particularly living with disabilities.
If it's going to work.
If it's going to work. Okay.
If it's going to work, I think that problem of the retirees moving up and down is going also to unease. For them visiting various offices here and there without a coin in the pocket. And this age, remember, this is when you need more Panadol than food.
At that age?
At that age. You need more Panadol than food.
There's the question of how you're going to hold the government to account, because you've used a very interesting sentence, if it works.
Because
how are you going to hold the government to account to these pledges that you got from State House?
You see, now it is a declaration of the president.
Yes.
So it is now upon the people who are surrounding the president with the different agencies and the departments of government to take up that matter. Because any worker within the civil servants, you get a notice of retirement 1 year. So the moment you get that notification, they are supposed to process that retirement benefit. The time you are existing, 12 at midnight should be in your account.
That is what you're seeking?
That's what we are seeking, yes.
Okay. Are you going to seek a different platform? Because I assume probably in that meeting, 10,000 teachers, and of course you representing the special needs education teachers. Are you going to seek a different meeting, particularly where you can prosecute more issues regarding that subsector in the education sector?
You see trade union all the time. You ask with the two hands. The moment you are given, the other hand is still waiting. And we have different forums where we can push the issues. So we are not going to go and sleep. We'll be in those corridors, from Jogo House, wherever. Yes.
You're going to go to Jogo House. Let's talk about capitation, because it's one of the big issues now arising in the education sector. First of all, you've seen the Principal Secretary, Professor Julius Bitok, talk about, fraudulent schools that have been receiving money fraudulently. From where you sit as a trade unionist, is it something you're buying, that why there's delayed capitation is for the reasons that they are looking into likely fraud in the disbursement of capitation?
What we can say as a trade union, it seems there is a high corruption from the higher level to the lowest level. If this money had been going to these schools, who have been sending, who have been receiving, and who have been withdrawing, so after the checkup of the whole system have been done, we need a report. Who sent, who receives, who withdraw, and what do you do with that money? That's corruption.
That is what you were pushing for?
That's what we are waiting after the audit. How much went to that school? Who withdrew that money? What did that money do? People must carry their responsibility. Yes.
But that is what the government is saying, why there's delayed capitation. My question for you is, of course, it's that theory of the level of corruption that could be towards the disbursement of capitation. But in your discussions as a union, do you believe that's the genuine reason why there's delayed capitation in some of the schools?
At this juncture,
yes.
At this juncture, let us wait. After the audit report is out, we are going to give our voice out.
After the audit report is out?
After the audit report is out, we are going to give our voice out.
I want to hear from you because, I mean, what you represent is, you would say, a very sensitive part of the education system, particularly special needs education teachers, and also I would assume even institutions. What are the stories you're hearing from ground as a union representative regarding the paralysis, some of the paralysis in some of these schools because of delayed capitation?
You see, Mr. Kioria, the policy change, the policy direction, this is the biggest issue. You know very well as a cabinet secretary, schools are going to be open on Monday. And it's still, by Friday, no money in the account. Comes Monday, there is no money. You just come out in the press conferences saying money will be there in the account by Friday. So our proposal to the ministry, that the capitation should be sent to schools 1 week before the schools are open. 1 week before the schools are open. We don't want to see those press conferences. That money will be in the account by Tuesday, by Wednesday, by Friday. Our head teachers are suffering so much. The suppliers are on their necks. Up to now, when now they are dealing with that audit report, our head teachers are not able now to run these schools. So we are saying also they must fast track. They could not be hiding behind the scene of auditing the system. Our head teachers are suffering.
As you talk about those head teachers, because of course the biggest impact of course is suppliers now being on their necks because they have supplied material or even food stuff and they are not paid. But tell us how it is affecting education, particularly for special needs students.
This is a very critical area.
Yeah.
This is a very critical area. And especially for MH, this is mentally challenged. If these children, they have no food in that institution, You have now even to bring the GSU for them to remain in that compound.
Yes.
Because the moment there is no food in that institution, they will just run away. And this is also a very complicated issue, because you'll get that even most of the parents who bring these children to this institution, sometimes they dump them there. So it is the responsibility of those teachers in those institutions to know where these children are going to get food.
You said you will react after that report, or this report, as we wind up. You said you will react after that report is released on the possible fraud in the dissemination of capitation. But are unions waiting to react? Is there engagement, whether it's public or, under the radar? Is there an engagement of any sort with unions, or rather the unions engaging the Ministry of Education?
That engagement have been there since time of memorial. That engagement have been there since time of memorial. But now the government have decided, let us audit this system. If there is something wrong with it, they correct. If the system is working, if the system then it is working, let them disperse this capitation in time.
Okay. I think you've seen the papers and the allegation that you guys carried 10,000 shillings, each one of you. You can tell us whether it's true.
We never carried 10,000. We never carried 10,000.
Yeah, and that some of you had to wait up until darkness.
We never carried 10,000. The 10,000 was given as fair reimbursement.
Okay.
For each and every teacher who attended.
So there was a 10,000 payout?
There was 10,000.
Okay, interesting. That's all we needed. Thank you very much. I want to give you 1 minute on the camera as you give us your last word as we wind up, very quickly.
Thank you very much. What I'll tell all our members across the country, don't sit on the fence. Jump in the shamba. Start harvesting before we close the gate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. James Torome is the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Special Needs Education Teachers. Before we switch gears to business very quickly, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission says it has a financing deficit of over 200 million, with the fate of 8 by-elections out of 24 in limbo, owing to a financial crunch. The Commission's chairperson, Edung Ethikan, says the 788 million shillings available is insufficient to conduct 16 by-elections, and the Commission requires another 258 million shillings to fully finance the November 27th by-election. Here are details of the financial woes facing the Commission as our Parliamentary Affairs reporter Tilio Marco reports.
With the country gearing up for the 24 by-elections, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission says it's facing the challenge of funding. The Commission's chairman, Edung Ethekon, says they require funds to conduct all the by-elections on 27 November.
The 24 by-elections will go on one day, and hopefully everything will go successfully.
We have a total of 24 by-elections. The ones that are funded are 16. And the total budget for that by-election, those 16 by-elections, 788 million. For the 8 remaining ones that have not been funded, amounts to 258 million. So in terms of total cost, we are looking at 1,046 million for the purpose of by-elections.
On voter registration, the Commission says it targets to register 6.9 million new voters, including those in the diaspora. The chairman said the time for boundaries delimitation has since lapsed and that the Commission will review available options and inform the public.
There is anxiety amongst Kenyans on the issue of boundary delimitation, and most of us have been thinking it's because we don't have a commission in place. I know the time has lapsed, but it will be very interesting and very important to hear whether that is going to happen before elections or after or never.
Right now it will be premature for me to give the direction on the way forward, but once we sit down as commission plenary, we interrogate the legal issues, but also the practical issues, including funding, Mheshimiwa. and then we will advise the nation on the way forward in that particular matter.
Meanwhile, the Commission is on the spot over unsupported expenditure running into millions of shillings incurred during the 2022 presidential election. The Tindi Mwale-led committee pressed the electoral body to explain why legal fees amounting to 158.96 million shillings did not have supporting letters of instructions.
We are dealing with the supporting documents. Tell us, you have already told us 182.
Yes.
There's 15 million.
Yes.
So take us where is the other amount amounting to 50 million or to make up the 158.
In the report quoted by the auditor, he had mentioned 50 million, but we gave letters of instructions totaling to 30 million.
What you would have done in your response is to say it is not 158, it is 158 minus 30.
The failure to provide an agreement on the legal fees and pending bills amounting to 3 billion shillings was also a cause of concern by the committee. Tilio Marco for Prime Edition.
Thank you for staying with Prime Edition. Let's get the latest in the world of business now. My name is Betty Kiptum. Passengers using the Mombasa commuter rail system will pay 50 shillings to and from the standard gauge railway station. According to a schedule released by the Kenya Railway Corporation, the train will operate the whole day, dropping passengers at various stations along the 17-kilometer journey. The new service was launched on Wednesday by President William Ruto.
Launched in 2017, the standard gauge railway has shortened the 500-kilometer journey from 11 to 6 hours. The railway service ferries more than 1.2 million people annually, generating over 2 billion shillings to KRC's bottom line. However, a missing link to Mombasa Island has always been a major challenge for passengers.
With this service, Kilometer Zero once again becomes the epicenter of Kenya's journey, not just the starting point of our history, but the launchpad of our modern economic destiny.
Today, President William Ruto has commissioned the Mombasa commuter rail service, which is expected to complete the journey to Mombasa Island.
This service, Your Excellency, will directly support port operation, reduce dependence on road transport, and reduce congestion. Most importantly, it demonstrates government commitment to ensuring that investment in infrastructure translates into real benefits for citizens.
Watu wanaiona hii reli wakaona ni reli tu. Unajua ile chuk treni watu wanaona ni treni tu. The net effect of this train, masafa ya usafiri, ukiweza kurahisisha masafa ya usafiri kwa mwendo na kifedha, wewe umejenga uchumi.
The 4.2 billion shillings project is set to also include subsidized fare for the train service at 50 shillings, which is significantly lower than the 400 to 1,000 shillings cost of a taxi or a matatu ride on the same route.
This link matters because it provides the much-needed fast and last-mile connection for commuters, visitors, and tourists. With a daily capacity of up to 5,000 passengers, it will ease pressure on roads and enhance the commuting experience while making the Madaraka Express more accessible.
The Mombasa commuter rail project began in September 2022. It involved rehabilitating a 16.6-kilometer section of the existing meter gauge railway line, constructing new passenger stations in Mombasa town and Miritini, and building a 2.3-kilometer railway bridge across the Makupa Causeway. Kenya Railways says the railway system will be operating daily at various intervals to the SGR station in Miritini. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
And 16 international investors in green energy and agri-tech mechanization will be among the key attractions in this year's Nairobi International Trade Fair. Agriculture Society of Kenya Chair, that is Joseph Mugo, said most farmers are interested in green energy solutions to reduce their cost of production and increase their margins.
Agriculture contributes to 41% of the total greenhouse gas emissions in Kenya, with the government keen on reducing emissions by 30% in the next 10 years. Investors in the green energy space are keen on utilizing the renewable energy gap in the agriculture sector, with several multinationals set to showcase their products in this year's Nairobi International Trade Fair. 16 multinational companies will exhibit their products ranging from green energy solution, low-cost agri-tech machinery, and organic agriculture.
One of them is
the solar energy. The number of exhibitors in that category has really increased this year. Agri-tech, and particularly agricultural machinery.
This year, we are proud to welcome more women-led enterprises, green innovations, and climate-resilient technologies into the fold.
Renewable energy is also expected to reduce the cost of production by 20% and make Kenyan produce competitive both in the domestic and international markets.
This year's showcase will feature Rife Agri-Tech demonstration and climate-smart farming solutions.
The ASK is urging local innovators to showcase their products in the trade fair to attract potential investors that will help them scale up their startups.
We have created dedicated space for students, innovators, agricultural training institutions, and youth-led startups to exhibit, network, and access mentorship.
The Agricultural Society of Kenya 2025 Nairobi edition, themed Promoting Climate-Smart Agriculture and Trade Initiatives for Sustainable Economic Growth, is slated for 29th September to 5th October. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
And calls for progressive taxation and a fairer global tax system are growing louder as negotiations on a new framework of international tax convention accelerates. Speakers at the regional convening of the UN Tax Convention and ending austerity in Nairobi highlighted the urgency for African countries to define the scope of taxes that fall under international jurisdiction and speak to reforms that place the continent's interests at the center.
United Nations, through the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, is working on a new framework convention on international tax cooperation, an initiative aimed at building a fairer and more representative global tax system. This effort, being championed by developing countries with a strong backing from civil society groups, argues that it could close the loopholes on unfair allocation of taxing rights and the recognition of unpaid care work within the fiscal policies and curtail harmful incentives that drain public resources.
Parliaments need to take this and run with it. And we need to also see the UN Tax Convention, because that's what it is, as a struggle against illicit financial flows, against tax evasion, tax avoidance, profit shifting. So let's get serious, Africans, and let's unite around this. Let's fight. Let's cascade it. African MPs fight for this at your parliaments. CSOs fight at your level.
It is important to really understand what tax justice means in terms of creating and implementing tax systems that are fair, that are equitable, and that promote social and economic well-being.
Speakers at the conference say, unlike indirect taxes such as VAT that remain under national control, this framework will address the global minimum threshold of taxes, focusing on direct taxes.
We want progressive taxes, taxes which do not burden the already marginalized groups such as women. And we also want to ensure that corporations are paying their fair share of taxes and not exploiting the continent where they make profit and send money outside the continent.
The Akina Wamama Africa says nations need to rethink their place in the wider global financial system and push for alternatives to the current financial order, arguing the current system is also gender blind and unjust as women carry the burden of regressive taxes.
Like when we talk austerity and we say, let's trim down, let's spend less on public services, where do we cut? Health, education, infrastructure, who gets affected? The women. When teachers are sending children with homework every day, that's supposed to be schoolwork, it is sent home. When at hospitals there are no nurses and women are fitting in and doing the nursing at home for free.
Experts are proposing creation of an African monetary fund, a continental payment system to reduce reliance on the dollar, an African debt negotiation bloc, or a borrowers club, as well as joint action against illegitimate debt. The message is clear that Africa should not just demand for a fair global tax system, but should also design and strengthen its own financial institutions like the African Development Bank to make sure it works for its own development. Wairi Mujenga for Prime Edition.
And Kenya is facing serious challenges in growing its agriculture sector because of uncoordinated extension services. The county focal person for the Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services Kenya, that is Peter Mwangi, says Kenya has many good agricultural technologies and innovations, but most farmers do not know how to use them because the extension system is weak.
As a strong starting point for improving coordination, both government and private sector have been urged to strengthen agricultural extension systems through collective actions towards sustainable food systems.
The issues known as inclusivity, where we are not youth-friendly or youth-centric, women-centric. We are also having the other categories of vulnerable members of the community, the resource poor, the indigenous people, who not just that they are not getting extension services, they're also not getting credit facilities. They're not also getting climate information, which is crucial for an all-rounded value chain development of a crop like maize or any other.
Leonard Gubok, Deputy Director at the Ministry of Agriculture, said the country also faces a shortage of extension officers. Many are nearing retirement and younger professionals are not joining the field because of budget issues. Agriculture is one of Kenya's most important economic sectors, contributing over 50% to the national economy. The speakers urged action to fix the extension system so that farmers can benefit fully from new tools and agribusiness can grow and invest with confidence.
We are talking about facilitating the farmer to understand what their problem is. And that's where the extension is come. To move from just being one person that transfers technology to the other, but to be a facilitator of change. Therefore, extension becomes the glue to bring the farmers' understanding of their own issue.
And that is the business news this evening. Sports news is coming up with John Jacob Kioria. My name is Betty Kiptum. Have yourself a lovely night. Bye-bye.
Brought us together, one faith, one call, a mercy to mankind, the greatest of all.
Sadaka si tu kutoa mali, bali ni moyo wa kujitolea na kusaidia wengine kwa ajili ya radhi za Allah. Kila Muislamu bila kujali hali yake ya kiuchumi ana fursa ya kutoa sadaka katika namna yoyote.
Watachukua haki za wanyonge na wanyonge hawatakuwa na watetezi wakati huo. Lao kaenda wewe ndio utazidishwa makosa. Kwa hiyo Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam akasema zama hizo zikifika ndizo anazozihofia. Kwa hiyo anahofia mambo 6 katika umma wake.
Insana fi ahsani taqwim thumma radadnahu asfala safilin illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat
ala ali Ibrahim Allahumma barik ala Muhammad.
Kila mwisho wa juma hapa
Time for sports now. In the Kenya national under-20 men's volleyball team, Wafalme Juniors are through to the quarterfinals of the African Nations Championship after a stunning comeback against Rwanda, whom they had beat by 3-1 in Pool B at the Hassan Mustafa Hall in Egypt. The result saw Kenya I will take that again. The results saw Kenya finish second in Pool B to set up a quarter-final berth against Algeria, while Cameroon, who finished in the pole position, will face Zimbabwe.
Wafalme Juniors dropped a tight first set 24-26 but responded emphatically to dominate the remaining sets 25-14, 25-20, 25-21 to set up a quarterfinal match against Algeria, who finished third in Pool A, won by the host Egypt, followed by Uganda. the Kenya under-20 men's volleyball team lost their opening pool match to Cameroon, who won by 3-1, but they managed to bounce back with a 3-1 win over Morocco before Tuesday's victory over Rwanda, whom they overcame 3-1. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Uganda has been confirmed as the host nation for the 2025 East African Legislative Assembly Yala Games, which will run from the 5th to the 18th of December this year. Kenya's National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, who doubles up as the chairperson of the East African Community Bureau of Speakers, made the announcement during a regional parliamentary session, noting that the Games will yet again bring together athletes from across the 7 East African partner states to compete in various sporting disciplines. The biennial event is designed to foster regional integration, promote talent development and strengthen cultural ties through sports. Preparations are already underway in Uganda to host the regional games.
We'll meet as soon as is practically possible, and in any event not later than the 22nd of this month, to start planning for the games, the disciplines to be competed, the size of representation, and so on and so forth. And they will then continuously appraise our various offices on the plans afoot.
Parliaments of East Africa, we decided to have sports as one of the things that help us in deepening, widening, and tightening the integration.
Meanwhile, the 2025-2026 National Super League season will now kick off on the 27th of this month and not this weekend as earlier planned. This was confirmed by the Football Kenya Federation Leagues and Competitions Committee Vice Chairperson Dan Njuguna, who reiterated that the postponement is meant to determine a ruling expected to be delivered this Friday by the Sports Disputes Tribunal. Nakuru Becks lodged a formal complaint accusing Gucha Stairs of fielding an ineligible player during a crucial Division 1 fixture last season.
In our deliberations, we've also agreed with the teams that we shall push the commencement of the league to the 27th of this month to allow the teething issues, including a matter that is before the Sports Dispute Tribunal.
One of the most critical part, or why the chairman and the CEOs of the National Super League were here, was the matter of the wide coverage of the league. As you all know, the National Super League is the one which goes at the entire country, and so the costs is quite high.
I think the biggest resolution that we have come with from this meeting is packaging of individual teams first of all, and then of course packaging the wider body, which is the FKF and of course the NSL.
And of course, Arsenal started off to a lucky start yesterday after staging a very important campaign against Athletic Club, beating them 2-0. There were other matches played yesterday in the Champions League, but of course currently ongoing right now, Bayern against the Blues, the London team currently playing. Also is PSG and Atalanta, as well as the Ajax and Inter, Liverpool and Atletico Madrid are also playing. Of course, this is the second phase of the UEFA Champions League games. Of course, we'll be updating you tomorrow on the results. But for now, thank you very much for watching Prime Edition. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Have yourself a fantastic night. God bless you.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive, not for persons under the age of 18 years.
Mdosi amelala. Sukuma moja. Wewe pia ndio muoga. Ndio maana Master Demi ilikupita. Demi haiko nipita bwana. Mimi najaza entry ticket zangu. Wewe hata unajua namba ya kusenda. Sini star 419 hash. Option 3. Ni Probox. Bwana finya hiyo kitu. Mfinye. Finya hiyo kitu. Mfinye. Finya hiyo kitu. Mfinye. Finya bwana.
Probox kwa star 419 hash option 3. Fresh design ndani ya light commercial vehicle. Cargo space ni kubwa na kama haitoshi iko foldable back seat for more space. Kamera ni mbili mbele na kamera ni mbili nyuma. Injini yako ni 1500cc. Nguvu na picking guaranteed. Hii itakuserve whether ni familia, biashara, camping, ita come through.
Fungua kit. Fungua kit. Fungua kit. Fungua kit. Wewe, saini saa ngapi unafungua hiyo gate? Ni watchman alikuwa anatoka na gari yake. Watchman? Ametoa gari wapi? Ya wasi amesinda kwa star 419 hash.
Iko Probox kwa star 419 hash option 3. Cheza safe,